Good morning, happy Friday. It's January 30th, 2026. My name is Katie Carter. I'm the emergency response meteorologist with the National Weather Service. Just a few things to note this morning. We have added the 10 a.m. weather briefing each day throughout the weekend. So we will have one tomorrow and on Sunday as well, and then the normal standing one on Monday. And the links to those will also be sent following. But getting into what we have right now, this is actually updated from the email that I sent to you not too long ago because we have upgraded some of our winter storm watches to winter storm warnings. So I'm not going to go through every single county and there's too much to track. So we'll just kind of talk about the impacts, who's going to be hit the hardest, and where the most uncertainty lies. So the pink that you see there, those are the winter storm warnings. Those are the areas that we're anticipating the heaviest amounts of snow. The purple, those are your winter weather advisories. That's where the most uncertainty lies, especially along the northern edge of this storm, because the track is definitely going to be a very sharp cutoff between very little to no snow and then all of a sudden quite a lot, just due to the nature of this system and how it's going to really intensify off the coast. It'll be a big story of the haves and the have-nots. And then the blue through Metro Richmond, back through Central Virginia, and up to the northern neck in King William, King and Queen counties, New Kent, those areas are under the winter storm watch. So still several inches of snow possible in some of these locations, but just not quite as heavy as those south. So everything goes into effect this afternoon and evening and wraps up on Sunday, and mainly south of I-64 for the impacts. If you live north of 64, especially in Northern Virginia, you'll see little to nothing except for the threat for some pretty gusty winds, especially as this system kicks out. On top of that, it remains really cold. So tonight we have cold weather advisories for a good chunk of the central and eastern portions of the state. These cold weather advisories mean that we'll see wind chills as low as 0 to -6. And some of our higher elevations, especially in the Blue Ridge, could be seeing some colder temperatures than that. This is just a map showing you what we are expecting. So waking up early tomorrow morning, definitely going to be cold. However, when we take one more day into the future, we have extreme cold watches. So these extreme cold watches are in effect for roughly the same area as our winter storm that we're expecting. So definitely the snow is going to help insulate things and just add the cold and to keep it around. All of the areas in blue are going to be exceptionally cold, -5 down to -10, maybe even a little bit colder than that for some of our western locations in the higher elevations. And this is really dangerous cold. So if you are stuck on the side of the road, or your road conditions deteriorate, your emergency manager in a locality, that kind of thing, you definitely want to make sure that you're taking care of folks who may be stranded in their car crash, or even, we're not anticipating widespread power outages with this system, but if there are some power outages, it's going to be dangerously cold. And here's that state snapshot here. I sent this all out, so I'm not going to go into great detail. Just know dangerous cold Saturday night into Sunday. This first map here, I want to preface and emphasize by saying that this is the first half of the snowstorm. So if you see this and think, gosh, the snowfall forecast has changed quite a lot, we have made some tweaks, but this is just what we're expecting today. So right now, there's already some snow falling in the western part of the state. It's going to take a while to start accumulating, so I wouldn't expect conditions to start to go downhill until midday and even later afternoon into the evening, despite there being some flurries out there now. But today through early tomorrow morning, so the left side of your screen goes until 7 a.m., notice that the western part of the state, they're going to get a whole lot of snow. Those snowfall rates are really going to be quite high, especially later this evening and overnight. So areas west to 77 in Southwest Virginia, they're going to get most of their snow tonight, with a little bit tomorrow, but most is going to happen through the later evening and overnight hours. All of the dark blue, that's 4 to 6 inches, and a few locations could be seeing upwards of a little bit more than 6 inches out that way. And you'll notice that it doesn't quite make it into Central Virginia. There might be a few flurries, late this evening, but it's really tomorrow is the main event for the rest of the state. But the right side of your screen, I did want to pull in our peak hourly snowfall rate to give you a sense of just how things are going to progress. So this afternoon, very light. It's not going to amount to much, if anything, for the first, till about midday. And then this evening, we'll start to see some very heavy snowfall rates. Anywhere from 1, even up to 2 inches per hour is going to be possible after 7 p.m., but especially after midnight through early tomorrow morning. That's when we'll see some accumulations pretty quickly through the overnight hours. So they'll wake up to quite a bit out that way. Now, this graphic here is storm total. So it takes into account the last graphic, and it goes until 7 a.m. Monday, but the storm will be long gone by then. We're really wrapping things up on Sunday. So we have bumped snow totals down a little bit, especially for Central Virginia, the Metro Richmond area, because the storm has shifted a little bit further south. So the problem with this storm and so many, a lot of snowstorms really, but this one in particular, because we knew it was going to scrape us, it's going south. A location change in the shift of this track, even 50 miles, could drastically change the snow totals. And that's kind of what we saw. So Central Virginia, anywhere from, I would say, 2 to maybe 4 inches. And then the further south you go into Southern Virginia, Southwestern, and especially Southeastern, we're still looking at least 4 to 6, if not 6 to 8. And then a few locations could get up closer to that foot mark, especially in Virginia Beach and Norfolk area. The same thing as yesterday with the really strong winds that we are mentioning is the potential for blizzard conditions. So this is going to be along the immediate coastline to the eastern shore and a little bit inland as well. This nature of this snow is a lot different than the last snowstorms. It's not heavy and wet. It is the light, fluffy, powdery stuff that is going to blow around a whole lot. And when we see those heavy snowfall rates extending even into the day on Saturday as well, those areas where we see the gusty winds and that snow coming down really at a good clip, it's going to reduce visibilities, and that is going to cause some very dangerous conditions on our roadways. It's not going to be the slippery type of snow in terms of ice, but when you can't see where you're going, that's definitely a problem with wind gusts anywhere from 50 to 60 miles per hour, especially along the coast. I wanted to pop in just a few of the probabilities to show that especially the northern edge of this storm could really, it's difficult because we have that sharp cutoff and snow totals on the northern edge. So this is where the most uncertainty lies. If we do see, a different outcome from this storm, it's going to be for these locations right here. So right now, the probability of at least 4 inches of snow right through that area that I've circled there is anywhere from about 20 up to 40%. So there's a chance they could be seeing 4 inches or more, but it is kind of low to moderate. South of that, there's a really great chance of seeing at least 4 inches. And then when we bump it up to 6 inches, those probabilities go down quite a bit for Metro Richmond down to Petersburg, but Southwest Virginia, Southern Virginia, Southeast Virginia, still a pretty good probability that they'll see 6 inches or more of snow. And then it has backed off slightly, the chance of 12 inches or more, but I did circle the locations that have the best chance. And you'll see that is in Danville area, Pittsylvania County, and then in Southeast Virginia as the system really intensifies off the coast. Snow character, as I mentioned, from start to finish is really just going to be a very light and fluffy type of snow. There's a chance that right at the tail end, early on Sunday morning, as this thing is wrapping up, it might get a little bit wet briefly in eastern Virginia, but remain dry inland, but not enough to make a big change in the snow character. That's just far too cold for that. We get the powdery stuff this time. Onset timing, this has not changed too much. We're expecting, and I should say that we are seeing some snow out west right now. This is the onset of accumulating snow. So keep that in mind. If, I say this afternoon and evening for areas west of Lynchburg, but that's when it starts to accumulate on the roadways. So this afternoon and evening for areas west of Lynchburg, roughly Lynchburg to just, west end of Richmond, this evening through early Saturday morning, so entering in and starting to accumulate overnight. And then things start to accumulate east of 95 early Saturday morning through the afternoon. Wrapping up, it's going to wrap up for areas Roanoke and west Saturday evening, Saturday night for areas along and west of 95, and then lingering into Sunday morning for areas east of 95. I'm not going to go over this in great detail, but I just wanted to kind of give you the sense of when the height of this storm is going to be. The height of it is going to be Friday night, so tonight into Sunday into Saturday for the western part of the state, and most of the day on Saturday for everyone else as it progresses. And then it kicks out pretty early on Sunday. These winds show that not everyone is going to be seeing the extreme winds. It's going to be windy no matter where you are, but there are two different locations that will see the strongest winds. It's the I-81 corridor, especially the ridges, and also east of 95 and the closer you get to the coast. These locations will be seeing wind gusts of anywhere from 45 up to 60 miles per hour. So if we really see the strongest wind gusts coinciding with the time where we're seeing those heavy snowfall rates, that's where visibilities are just going to tank, and we will see a lot of problems there. This is a good reminder that things are finally going to warm up and stay there. And when I say warm up, it's warmer than freezing, but still much cooler than normal. But starting Monday, we will be seeing highs above freezing. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, all the rest of next week, it will definitely be warmer than freezing. So luckily, we will see the snow melting and hopefully making a further dent in all of the ice that is still out there. The last factor in this storm is tidal flooding. So this is for our immediate coastline locations, especially in the lower bay. And it also is for the eastern shore as well. But coastal flood watches are in effect for Norfolk, Portsmouth, Chesapeake, Virginia Beach, and Northampton counties. It's late Saturday through Sunday afternoon, specifically high tide on Sunday morning and Sunday afternoon. But these locations could be seeing 1 to 3 feet of inundation above ground level on our immediate coastline, especially if it's low lying near the shoreline and our tidal waterways. And any water that is left standing or kind of washed on shore is going to freeze. So definitely right along the coast, we'll see some icy conditions if there are roads that are right along that area. And this is the tidal flooding overview. It shows you because of those northerly winds coming down the bay, that's why you'll see specifically Norfolk, Virginia Beach, those areas getting hit with the major tidal flooding. And that's up to 3 feet of inundation above ground level. This was just included. There is, I know it's an eye chart, but if you have interests in high tides and what cycles those are, you could reference them in the chart. But that is it, pending any questions. This storm has a lot of moving parts, a lot of factors, a lot of hazards, but luckily we have seen some improvements, at least minor improvements in the forecast. So I'll leave it at that and just wait to see if there are any questions.